What's up, cronies? Cat Burglar here. Happy Easter. Hoping everybody's having a great day. Enjoy this amazing holiday. I'm gonna get right into the games. Obviously, yesterday my pick on the Bucks uh, was not great. They got down too quick. They only had 14 points total from their starting five outside of Giannis, which was pathetic. I think Kuzma had a donut. Didn't score any points, no assists, 0 for 2 in 22 minutes. It was brutal. Anyways, we lost that one. We hit our lock and load with Giannis over 31 and a half points or 31 points. I forgot what it was, but we went over that by like 5 or 6 points. So that cashed, which is nice. Kind of want to go in, got a couple questions on my regular picks. Guys, to be honest, are not that great. What I found that works for me over the last year is going really small on my regular picks and my lock and loads doing 20 to 25x what I normally do on a bet. Um, and that's worked really, really well for me over the last year. What I found is over before that is I was only hitting like 35 to 45% of my regular picks, and the juice and losing was eating up my winnings from my lock and loads. And those lock and loads that I offered don't happen very often. They're rare. They're like maybe 50 to 100 of them a year. Where I was doing, 5 to 8 picks of my regular picks a day. So all the other picks were eating up all my winnings from my other picks. So what I did, and I just want to point this out, is I limited my other picks because I knew I mean, I was tracking this stuff. I wasn't hitting very good on my regular picks. And I just started going more heavily on my lock and loads because they were hitting at 65 to 75% over basically a pretty long period of time. So, anyways, just want to give you guys an idea. If you want to tail my picks, go ahead. If you don't, you're not hurting my feelings. Go with your own picks. I'm just offering free advice, and do with it what you want. So, it's just fun for me. And another thing, if you are an action junkie and you really need to get in that action, I really feel like Sports Place, Sense Sports is the place for you because you still get that risk putting in picks, but you're not risking any of your own money. And you have a chance, even though there's smaller amounts, to cash out eventually. And maybe that's the idea because I think what happens to me, just like regular Joe Blow sports better, is happening to a lot of people out there. They may have 1 or 2 picks a day that they really like, but because they're action junkies, they're putting in 10, 15 picks, and there's really not the value there. And in order to find that much value every day, you have to be probably a full time sports bettor, have systems or models in place to find those types of picks. And I personally don't have time to do that. I don't know how to build a model. Um, I'm not really interested in that type of handicapping. There's nothing wrong really with building a model if that's what works for you. But for me, and I would gather most sports bettors out there, I think you can win, but you got to limit your picks. And I think, obviously, for anybody that doesn't have an account at Sports Plays or Sense Sports, I would go over there and create one and basically just try for a little period of time your best picks. If you're betting at a sportsbook, put those in and see how you do for a few months. I bet you'll find that you do much better just playing your best picks at the sportsbook versus all your picks. Anyways, again, I'm going to go into more of this type of stuff in the upcoming weeks and why I do things a certain way, but I'm going to because it's Easter, I don't want to make this video too long. Miami, Cleveland opened at 11.5. Now it's 12.5 pretty much across the board. I got this at 12. And I just wanted the reasoning behind this for me is, again, I said this yesterday, is Miami has played, this will be their third road game in like 5 or 6 days. And Cleveland's been resting. I just think Miami went to overtime the last game. They're going to be tired. I really like Cleveland in a spot. I also bet Tyler Hero under 23.5 points. I think it was either 24 or 20. I think it's 23.5 now, but I still like it at 23.5. I think he's a really awesome player. He's going to get his, but I see him somewhere between the 16 and 20 point range, not 24 points. So Orlando, Boston, don't really. Looks like opened at 13.5. Looks like it's somewhere between 13 and 13.5 across the board. Looks like you can catch a 13 at Circa if you're out in Vegas. I just don't know here. Orlando's played Boston fairly well over the last couple years, and I know Brown's still battling an injury, so I don't really see any value here in this play, so I'm staying away. Memphis, Oklahoma City. This one's tough because this is very similar to the Miami Cleveland game. Opened at 11.5, now it's up to 13.5. Oklahoma City is very good. Memphis is a tricky team with Bain and Morant. Their backcourt's as good as any. Obviously, they have Jackson. This is just a big number. I actually think if I had to play this, I'd play Memphis. I'm not playing it, but that's just my take. Houston, Golden State. Rarely do you see a 2 seed versus a 7 seed as just -1. And it looks like Golden State's the favorite in the series. Let's check down here. Yeah, so Golden State's favored to win the series as a 7 seed. That tells you a lot right there. So I'm staying away from this game. Don't really have a take on it. One thing I want to point out is I do see some value right now on the Lakers for the series. They lost, but you can get them at plus 105, plus money. I think there's definitely some value in taking the Lakers to win the series. I already took them at minus 190. I might take them again here at plus 105. I just don't see LeBron and Luka going out in the first round. I know Minnesota really gave it to them, but Nas basically was unbelievable from 3. He couldn't miss. Do I see him doing that again? I think he hit like 5, 6, 7 3-pointers, something crazy. I don't see that happening again. And I do think in the second half, the Lakers kind of found something a little bit that potentially could work against Minnesota. So, but that's my take on today's games. And basically kind of the series. I still like Milwaukee too. I still think there's some value here. You're getting them potentially at plus 245. I do. One of the other games I want to talk about, Milwaukee and Indiana. I'm betting the Bucks again. I got them at 5.5. It's down to 4.5. I think Dame's gonna play. Again, I think Milwaukee found something. Their starters can't play any worse. They scored 14 points outside of Giannis. Their starters. They're not gonna score 14 points again. So this is gonna be a much closer game. I do like Milwaukee here on Tuesday. Even at 4.5, I like it. I did sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well. And again, I got this at 5.5. One thing I want to point out, guys, on these playoff games, and this probably goes for NHL too. I'm not an NHL bettor, but for the NBA, like if there's something you're seeing, you better get on it right away after the game because they're posting the lines. Like you can see here, just opened at 6. It went down to 5.5 right away. And within 2 hours, it already had dropped a point. So, like, the value, I still like it at 4.5 for Milwaukee, but the value is pretty much gone at this point. So, something to kind of keep your eyes on if you guys are betting. Bet these games early, because if you wait, you're probably not going to get as good a number, unless you're trying to bet the other way. And you kind of got to anticipate that based on experience. So, it doesn't always go your way, but you can kind of see how things are going to go. Remember, too, in the playoffs, it's like one team wins and the next team wins, and a lot of these 4-5, 3-6 series, just because one game was a blowout, don't think the next game is going to be a blowout. It doesn't work that way in the playoffs a lot of times. So just want to point that out. Anyways, guys, happy Easter. Good luck with your bets today.